Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Trellis and Trails Homestead. I'm Jacqueline. If you're new here, I create a lot of seed starting videos, a lot of gardening videos, a lot of sourdough baking, a lot of cubing content and other things. So I'd really appreciate it if you would give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if that's something you're interested in. Today we're going to do a seed starting video. So I have our Jiffy greenhouse kit here that I like to use. If you've seen my other seed starting videos, you will have seen these before. So I'm not going to go through how to use these, but that's what we're going to use today. So today my plan is to plant some herbs. I have lots of various herbs here. I also have my tea garden herbs that I wanted to start. So in my 2024 garden planning video, I showed you guys my vertical gardening system that I want to use for a tea garden this year. This came from Dollar Tree. Each little tier, I have them here, was $1.25 each. I have 20 of these. That is 10 stacked up behind me, and I have the other 10 here that I'm going to stack up whenever I get ready to plant and then put the soil in. I just have it set up now just to show you that that's what I'm planning on using for my tea garden. I might throw some other herbs throughout the garden beds, the raised beds, especially for like companion planting and things like that. But the majority of my herbs this year, I think I'm going to try in this vertical garden and see how that goes. If I have way too much room in this one for just herbs, then I might do flowers in the other one. I haven't quite decided yet. The sound quality is a little off today. I'm using my little mic just to eliminate a lot of outside noise. It sounds like there's a little bit of construction going on in my neighborhood and lots of birds, lots of squirrels. The cat is out here and she's meowing and yelling at the squirrels. It's also really windy. So just to eliminate a lot of outside noise, I have this on and hopefully it makes the sound quality better. We'll see. So I'm going to go ahead and get these pellets moistened so that we can plant our herbs. While our peat pellets are getting all moistened and rising up to an inch to inch and a half, I'm going to show you guys the garlic. So here we are. You can see the green popping up really, really good. I think there are like, I want to say we planted 50 cloves of garlic in just half of this raised bed. You can see we have chicken wire on top to try to keep the squirrels out while they were growing from little seeds just so that they didn't get into them. But they're doing amazing. They are really popping up nicely. And I don't know that all 50 are growing, but we definitely have a lot more than we had last year. So that's really nice. We'll probably take this chicken wire off in the coming days because I don't think it's necessary anymore. But you can see they're all along the whole half of this raised bed. So that's really awesome. Really excited to have these. Okay, so our seed pellets are all moistened. You can see they get to be about an inch, inch and a half tall. They're probably about an inch tall. And you can see they're in these biodegradable little mesh nettings here. I've tried to plant these directly into the garden beds because it's biodegradable. It's supposed to break down. But I've had more success with removing these when I go to plant the seedlings into the garden beds. It seems like the roots and everything is just able to expand a little bit more. I don't know if you're supposed to keep them more moist than I do or something for them to break down. But I have gone into my garden beds like the following year and still found these nettings. So I just prefer to remove them first before planting these onto the garden bed. Just seems to work a little bit better. These could probably rise a little bit more, but I'm going to actually just wait until I put the seeds in, and then I'm going to give it another good water again, and that should be fine. So I don't really have a plan of how many herbs I'm going to plant or how many of what, more or less of another, one or another. But I do really want to prioritize these tea garden herbs. I've done a lot of research in the last couple of weeks on cold stratification and if that's required. It seems like there are some herbs that require a period of cold stratification before you plant them out into your seed pellets or whatever. Herbs, flowers, there's a couple different things. Vegetables and the things that I'm primarily growing don't require cold stratification, but I'm pretty sure that there are a few herbs that do. I am a little confused as to if that's only if they're going to be perennial plants. I think if they're annual plants, you don't really have to do that. But I know that I've tried to start lavender from seed before, for instance, and it didn't grow. And that's one of the ones that says it requires cold stratification first. Cold stratification, there's different methods to doing that. I've seen people put the seeds on like a moist paper towel and spray them down and stick that paper towel with the seeds in it into a Ziploc bag and stick it in the refrigerator for like a few weeks before planting it. Basically just so that the seeds can go through a period of cold before they're planted. Similar to if you planted them out in the fall, which is another way of doing cold stratification. You can plant the seeds out in the fall. That way they go through a full like winter and spring of cold temperatures before they actually sprout in the spring or early summer. I didn't do that. I didn't plant anything out in the fall other than the garlic. So I thought that I was going to get around to cold stratifying some seeds and just see if that works better for growth, but I actually didn't, and I think I'm going to try it without because I don't really plan for these to be perennial plants in my vertical garden here. I really just want them for this year, and then if they do well, maybe I can try to transplant them into my flower garden area or something like that. But I don't necessarily need for them to come back next year. I feel like I could just plant more next year, unless I have one that does really, really well and I want to move it somewhere else in the yard or in the flower bed. We'll see, but I think I'm just going to start with some of the ones that I have. I'm not going to do rosemary today or thyme because I have those inside. In one of my videos, I'd planted those in some bigger pots just to have more. And those are doing really well. I also have a rosemary and lavender plant outside in pots from last year that I'm wondering if they'll grow back this year. I'm going to wait and see. So I'm not going to do the rosemary thyme. I think that I will do a couple of lavender seeds just to see. I've got anise, fennel, borage, chamomile. Pretty sure chamomile is one that requires cold stratification too. Cilantro, dandelion, echinacea, Italian basil, lemon balm, marjoram, mountain mint, and peppermint. And then I have some of those similar varieties in herb packets from like In My Gardener and just some like department store seeds and things like that I have. So I'm just going to take everything out and kind of go from there. Let's see, we've got 72 pellets. So there's 12 rows, 6 pellets down. I didn't bring a marker out here to label them. I should probably go grab a Sharpie so that I don't get confused. I can go ahead and label them as I'm planting them. So I'll go inside and grab one of those in a second. I really want to make sure that we have enough oregano, basil, parsley, and dill. Those are definitely some of my favorite herbs to grow and to eat fresh and cook with as well. The dill specifically for canning because I do a lot of pickle recipes and dilly beans and things like that. So if I can have my own dill for those and not have to buy dill from the store to put in it, that is definitely much preferred. Let me go inside and grab the marker and then we'll just start throwing some seeds in the pellets. I think I'm going to start with the basil, oregano, dill, parsley, the things that I already know that I really, really want, and do more of those first. And then the tea garden herbs, I think we'll just fill in after that, depending on how many we have. So I'll probably try to do at least half of this in tea garden herbs, if not more. and then start a few of these with the basil and dill and things like that, oregano. So I've got a couple of different varieties of basil here. Let's start with those first. Let me see which ones I have. So I have this sweet basil that I've grown before from Burpee. I do like this one, and it tends to grow pretty well. And then I have two new ones this year, this Genovese basil from In My Gardener and Thai basil also from In My Gardener. I'm really excited to try this one. So let's see. It says to sow these or start indoors 4 to 6 weeks before the last frost. We are about 5-ish weeks out from our last frost, so this is actually perfect timing for these. And then I think same with the sweet basil here says to sow in full sun after danger of frost, but we're just going to start these all at one time, and I think they'll be just fine. Let's see. Let's start with the Genovese basil. I think I'm going to do a full row of the Genovese basil. I should have brought some scissors out also so I can have clean cuts on these seed packets, but that's okay. I do have a chopstick that we use to kind of fluff up the peat pellet and pop these in there. Let's see. It says it takes 7 to 14 days to germinate, 70 days to maturity. Plant 1/4 inch deep, container friendly. And yeah, 4 weeks before last frost. So I think I'm going to do 2 to 3 seeds in each peat pellet. Okay, so this is a full row here of Genovese basil. I should have gone through and done this already. I'm going to go through and just kind of get a hole started so that we can easily pop our seeds into these pellets. Kind of fluff up the peat moss. Okay, so I went ahead and fluffed up all of the peat pellets just to make it easier as we go along with planting these. So let's do our Thai basil next. I probably should go ahead and label these, but we'll get the basils in and then I'll go back and label them. So we have our Thai basil from In My Gardener. I think I'm going to actually do 4 plants of these. I don't know, I kind of want more. It says it has a spicy anise flavor. We'll do 4 plants. And then we'll save the other 2 for the sweet basil. I was going to try to see what the difference between the sweet basil and the Genovese basil is. It's getting really breezy out here. We might have to take this inside. Let's see. The sweet basil. Aromatic and flavorful, perfect for pesto, tomato sauces, and salads, and it says it's an annual. Genovese basil, ideal for making fresh pesto. Refreshing caprese salad, great for cooking. Okay, they sound similar to me. I think I'm just going to do 2 of the sweet basil. I took the cat inside because she acted like she wanted to go in for a little break. She spends a lot of time out here in her little tent that you saw during the warmer months, mostly during the summer. But the first chance she has to get outside when it starts getting warm, she wants to. I don't trust her to just be out in the yard without being contained. And honestly, we've tried having her on a leash and other things before, and she used to do okay on the leash, but she seems like she feels a lot safer in her tent. And just because we live in a neighborhood and not too far from here, there's a really busy road. I don't want her to hop the fence or anything like that and get into the road or just not come back. I would be devastated if that happened. That would be terrible. So She likes to come out in her tent. It's her favorite thing, and she does just fine with that. And she'll start meowing and kind of clawing at the side to let me know when she wants to go in. And sometimes it's to cool down, especially if I have the ceiling fan on. Sometimes it's to get water. I usually bring water out here for her, but I don't have any out here for her right now. Or to get a snack. And then when she wants to come back out, if I'm still out here, she'll just come to the back door here, and I'll see her little face. And I just bring her back out into her tent. She really likes that. So it is sunny. It's nice out. I think it's supposed to be a high of 72 degrees today. It's just really breezy. It's been so windy for the last few days. And actually, I just got back home yesterday. I was on vacation, a camping trip in mostly Arizona. We kind of drove through Utah too, and part of Colorado. But we went on a Arizona camping trip, and it was gorgeous. I was so amazed. I never knew Arizona was as beautiful as it is, with just the canyons and the red rocks and the desert sand and all of that. We've been to Utah several times and spent some time in like the deserty areas there. But this was just quite different and really, really gorgeous. Unfortunately, it got super windy there as well, like 30-mile-per-hour sustained winds, gusts even higher at times. So we were only able to camp for the first 2 nights. We were there for 5 nights, 6 days, and we could only camp for the first 2. So what was going to be a camping trip turned into more of a hiking and exploring trip and staying in Airbnbs at nighttime, which was actually just fine as well. We have a rooftop tent on our truck that we camp in, especially when we're doing like overland trails and things like that we're able to take our truck on and then just sleep in the tent for the night. It's perfect. It works out great. It did not work out so great this time. But the Airbnbs are really nice. It was fine to stay inside and sleep in a normal bed, normal house overnight. We had no problem with that either. So it was just so, so gorgeous. I'm so glad that we went. It was such an amazing trip. And we did a lot of hiking. We spent 2 days doing all hiking, and hiked over 15 miles throughout Sedona mostly. We did some exploring with you can see the cat's head she just popped her head up. She's right here behind me. I don't know if you can see. So I bring her back out in a second, but we stopped in Utah, went to Gooseneck State Park and some other areas, and went to Horseshoe Bend. I'm hoping to have enough footage that I can maybe include some of that in a separate video if that's something that you guys would like to see, because it was just such a beautiful trip. We have some plans to go back to Utah in the next couple of weeks. We go to Moab every May. So I'll definitely try to film that trip for you guys, because that's just a fun one that we do. And we pretty much kind of have a routine down when we do that. Last year, though, we spent a little bit of time in Moab, and then we went and did all 5 Utah national parks. And that was absolutely incredible. That was for sure the highlight of the trip. So I'd like to do some of the national parks again. I don't think we'll be able to go all the way to Zion this time. I really love Canyonlands. I'd like to spend more time in Canyonlands National Park when we go to Moab, just because that's right there, very conveniently located to Moab. So I think that will work out. Okay. She is back in her tent and happy. So thank you guys for bearing with me, because I haven't been able to post videos during that time while I was gone. I have a garden bed building video that I did film beforehand. I just haven't done the voiceover for it yet, so I really have to get to that absolutely ASAP, like today or tomorrow, so that I can get that video out for you guys. So you'll probably see that one before you see this one. We'll see how it works out. But thank you guys for bearing with me while I was on vacation and haven't posted a long form video for you guys. I posted a couple of shorts here and there, but I know they're not the same. If you're like me, you definitely prefer to watch long form videos than shorts. I love YouTube for that reason. I feel like if I want to see shorts and things, I'll just go to Instagram Reels typically. But I do find YouTube shorts to be very interesting and usually very educational as well. So I do like them. But I prefer to make long form content and to watch long form content. So, yeah, thank you guys for bearing with me while I had a little break from YouTube. It was actually really nice. Even though I love making these videos for you guys, and this is stuff that I'm already doing on a regular basis anyways. I was already seed starting and planting my garden and doing things like that. So now I'm just filming it and posting it on the internet for you all to see. So let's see, I have, so I just did 2 of the sweet basils. I think for the 4 remaining ones under the sweet basil, I'm going to do this dark green flat leaf parsley from In My Gardener. I can tell we have really high pollen out right now. I don't necessarily see it, but I can feel it. I usually don't have any allergy issues, and I am out here sneezing. I don't think the wind helps because it's just like blowing everything around. But I did see on the weather forecast that our pollen was pretty high right now. So springtime is intense, especially while we were in Arizona. I just feel like spring is just such a relentless season. When I used to live on the East Coast, I didn't notice it as much, I don't think. But here in Colorado, number one in Colorado, it feels like all of the weather is just extreme here. Everything in Colorado feels very extreme to me. I like it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining about it at all, but, the weather is just intense. Summertime, we get, hailstorms and other things. Not a ton. We didn't have a ton of hail last year, but, I just feel like the weather can be kind of volatile here. So even in Arizona, though, you could tell it was springtime. It was very windy, lots of allergens out in the world, and things like that. So I'm gonna have to go inside and blow my nose in a second. I don't know if you guys can hear the birds chirping and yelling in the trees, but they're happy it's spring for sure. I thought that Cherry was happy to be out here, but she keeps looking at me like she doesn't really want to be out here in her tent. So we'll see how long it lasts. Maybe she'll let me get through planting these seeds first. Okay, so I did 4 of the parsley underneath the sweet basil. And before we get too far, I need to label these because I know myself and I know I'm going to get confused, and I can't wait until the end to label them because it's just going to be a mess. I'm going to actually go inside and grab some scissors because I do need to cut these because I don't need for them to be as wide as they are. These are just the little labels. You just tear them apart, and I just like to cut them lengthwise just to make them a little smaller. So I'm going to go get some scissors and do that. Okay, so I usually just cut them lengthwise like this. And then we've got Genovese basil. I keep looking around because I have neighbors all around me. The ones that really can see me are the ones directly behind me. And they're fine. I don't mind them. They do a lot of gardening and stuff as well because I've seen them in their backyard. They have some kind of raised beds, like some elevated areas in their yard that their house came with. So that's really cool because they do a lot of gardening as well in the summertime. So they've already been out there a little bit doing some things here and there. And I haven't filmed outside a lot in my backyard, so I just don't want to be weird. They probably already think that I'm weird anyways, but that's okay. Genovese basil, and then we had Thai basil. I don't want to film in the sunshine because you guys won't be able to see me, but it's kind of chilly with the wind blowing, so I think when we finish this video, I'm going to sit in the sun for a little while and just soak in some vitamin D, not that I haven't been outside for the last 6 days. Sweet basil. Why are you yelling over there? I feel like some of my things are starting to blow away too, so we really might have to move this party inside in a few minutes. Just trying to take advantage of the nice weather while we have it. We're supposed to have a drop in temperatures tomorrow to like 49 degrees or something, and then cool weather coming in this weekend. So that's why I'm definitely not planting anything. I mean, these are seeds anyways that I haven't started yet, but I'm not planting anything in my garden beds or in my vertical garden yet, just because we still are getting some cold temperatures down to freezing, and I'm still 5+ weeks out from my last frost anyways. So here in Colorado, I haven't been able to plant things out into the garden beds until pretty much the beginning of June. So we still have a while. I think today is April 17th. So it's going to be a minute before I can get everything outside anyways. But I do try to take advantage of the warm weather while I can. I really needed to go ahead and edit my garden bed building video. I don't know why that is so hard to say together. Garden bed building video. But like I said, I have to take advantage of the warm weather while it is lasting. So I decided to come outside, do this first, and editing that will probably be my plan for this afternoon or tonight. Whenever we make it back inside and I have time to sit down and do that. I'm going to do this mammoth Long Island dill from my gardener. I'm going to do a full row of this because, like I said, I know that it kind of self-seeds. I wonder if I should do more. Let's start with 6 and then kind of see what else we have, because I still have all these tea garden herbs that I need to plant. So yeah, let's just do a row. These seeds are kind of funny looking compared to some of the others. I think next I'm going to do oregano. I'm going to do 3 of these Italian oregano seeds from In My Gardener and 3 of these Greek oregano from Burpee. I think that'll be enough oregano. I also want to do probably a full row of cilantro, and I have a slow bolt cilantro from In My Gardener. But I guess I didn't bring it out here, so I've got to figure out where that's at. It's probably just in my seed box inside. So I think I'm going to plant these 2, and then I'm going to skip a row to save for the cilantro, and then go ahead and start on the tea garden herbs. And then I'll just come back in and fill that row with cilantro, probably when I take it inside in just a few minutes. So let's do 3 of the Italian oregano first. Oh, I was like, these are tiny. No, it's because they're in a Ziploc bag, but they are really, really tiny, though. I don't know if you can see those very well. They're super small. Again, all of these herbs I can also plant direct sow after the last frost if I want to have more. So we'll just see how they do as seeds and then go from there. And if they don't do great, then I can always just direct sow them. Stay tuned. I think tomorrow, maybe, if not tomorrow, then early next week, I'm going to up pot my tomatoes and peppers because I came back from vacation and they are large. The tomatoes are at least probably 3 inches tall, and the peppers are probably 2.5, if not a little more. Also, pretty much every seed that I planted grew. So I have mostly like 2 plants in each peat pellet. So I'm going to have to separate those when I up-pot them as well. So I'll make a whole video on up-potting them once I get some extra cups and things to put them in. I have some 2-inch pots from Bootstrap Farmer, and I really, really like those. I think I only have 80 of them, though. And I have way more than 80 even tomato plants, and with the peppers included, I have a ton. So I think what I'm going to do, I've planted in solo cups before, and that works out really well, especially for the tomatoes and peppers that get pretty large before I can put them out because they have so much time to grow inside, because I started them in March. So I think I'm going to get some clear solo cups so you can see the root system really well. And then I can keep an eye on like how often they need to be watered, if the soil is getting dry, and just how the roots are doing. I've planted in red solo cups before, but I think the clear ones will actually be perfect because then I can keep a closer eye on the soil inside the cup and the root growth and all of that as well. When I take these inside, I'm going to put them on my grow shelf with all of the other seedlings. And I'm going to put them on a heat mat so they can stay warm. I'm going to put the greenhouse dome, the plastic lid here, on as well until they sprout. And then once they sprout, I'll take the dome off so they can get a lot of airflow to the leaves and things like that. But until they sprout, I'm going to have them on the heat mat. No grow lights, because I don't think that these really require light to germinate. Some seeds do. I'm going to be honest, I don't really check every single seed to see what needs light and what doesn't, especially when I'm planting like this all together in one tray. It would be hard to differentiate and separate what needs light to germinate and what doesn't. Unless I take them out and put them in something different. But I have found that they usually all do fine regardless. I know I'm planting a lot of different things in one tray, so we might have success with some, we might not. We'll just kind of see. But once they start sprouting, we'll take the dome off and then we'll add the lights at that point, and they should grow just fine. Italian oregano. I do have chives that I wanted to try to plant, but I think I'm going to do those in a pot because, as you can see, this container variety to start indoors, they tend to grow very large and abundant at one time, and I'm not going to waste my single little peat pellets on those. So I'll put those with some soil into just a larger pot and probably start these in the next day or two as well. I have this aster and bee balm that I picked up at like a local nursery. These like wildflower seeds, but I do think that it's best for these to be cold stratified, especially if I do want them to be perennials, and it says that they both are perennials. So I didn't cold stratify them. I don't know if I'll have time to this year. I might have time to. I don't even think it says anything about cold stratifying on the back, the planting instructions, but when I looked it up, these were two big ones that needed to be cold stratified. If you guys have any advice, tips, and tricks on cold stratification, or if it's really even necessary, I don't know if it just depends on your area. Like I said, I'm in Colorado, so maybe for them to continue to grow throughout the colder seasons, or at least to, remain dormant but alive. Maybe that's the reason for it. I'm not sure. So let me know if you have any solid information on cold stratification, because that's just something I've never done before. I only recently learned of it. So I'm going to hold off on the bee balm and the aster for now and do some more research on those probably. So like I said, some of the tea herbs that I have in here, I've already have planted. So I'm not going to do every single one of these, but I'm going to do the mint. I'm going to try the chamomile, echinacea, and some of those things. I do have echinacea in my flower garden, and I left it from last year, so we'll see if it grows back. Dandelions I usually have throughout my yard, but I don't see any popping up now for spring, so I don't think I'm going to plant them. I did make some dandelion, or attempted to make some dandelion jelly one time. It turned out as more of like a honey consistency instead of a jelly, so I use that in tea mostly. I canned it so it's shelf stable, but I still had quite a bit of it, so I think we're actually going to skip the dandelion this time. I can always fill this, like I said, with flowers and things like that. And I can always pick up some plant starts of certain things or flowers or whatnot if I don't grow everything from seed. I usually grow everything from seed every year, but I'm not opposed to picking up some plant starts or at least some flowers. I think since the cat is yelling and it's getting really windy outside, I'm going to take you guys inside just to finish these, just so our stuff doesn't blow all over the place. So okay, we are back inside, and my body is still so sore from the 50 miles of hiking that we did. So it's nice to not have to sit on the ground right now because that was getting a little uncomfortable. Okay, so let's see. We still have some tags here. The cilantro I was going to find. I haven't looked for that yet. So I'm going to save the row for the cilantro. The lavender, like I said, we'll see how it grows, but I really think it probably should be cold stratified. And I have the plant outside that I think will grow back. So I think I'm just going to do 3 lavender seeds. I think I should have enough for that. Yeah. So 3 peat pellets. I'm actually putting like 3 to 4 seeds in each one. But but 3 of the pellets total. This packet came from Amazon, and this is the first year that I'm trying them, so I have no reviews on these yet to give to you guys, but we'll see how they grow. I actually really like them, though, because they have just a QR code on here. So this is echinacea. Whatever you're growing, you can just scan this QR code, and it brings up an entire growing guide with all the details that you need. If I wasn't filming on my phone right now, I would actually pull it up and show you. But it tells you when to plant, how to plant, germination time. I did look these up a while back, the growing guides, and they were very informative. I didn't really save any of that information. I think I have some screenshots on my phone. So let's do 3 echinacea below the lavender. Because I do already have some echinacea, which is also called coneflower, if you ever see that, planted in my garden bed from last year. So I'm just going to do 3 of these for now. I don't tend to grow flowers often. Last year was my first year growing flowers, and none of them were grown from seed. I bought them all from like Lowe's or Home Depot as pretty decently full-grown flower starts already, and then planted them in like a designated area along my fence line in like a flower garden area, and they did really well. I am hopeful that I can keep most of them as perennials. I think some of them are perennials and some of them aren't. I'll have to go back and look at my pictures that I had taken of the information. My cat is just not happy today. If you hear her in the background, she's absolutely yelling. When I got back into town yesterday from Arizona, she would not stop. She is a talking tabby. I've never really had a cat that talks before, and she meows and talks nonstop. She's 10, almost 11 years old. And she talked definitely in the beginning when I first caught her from the animal shelter. She was about a year old, a little less. But as she's gotten older, she does not stop talking. I literally have to tell her to hush all the time. I've never had to tell a cat to hush so much before. Echinacea. But I just don't think that she's the happiest today. She seemed to be not super thrilled the entire time she was outside, and then I bring her inside, she wants to go back out, and then we're inside now and she's yelling at the back door to go out again. So I just don't know what she wants from me today. When I got back yesterday, she would not stop talking. She had to tell me, I guess, everything that had happened in the last 6 days while she was home by herself. I did have someone come check on her twice a day, so she wasn't completely alone. She definitely had socialization and had someone to feed her and give her water and all the good stuff. But it's just not good enough unless her mom's here. So she just can't get herself together today. And she's been talking since the moment she got up this morning. So I don't know what she's doing. I'm sorry if the lighting is a little bit darker in here. It looks like the sun kind of went down a little bit, so it might be a little shady now. I have lavender in this one too, but I'm going to skip this lavender since I planted the other one. Borage, I'm going to be honest, I don't even really know what that is. Maybe a purple flower? I'm not sure. The dandelion we're going to skip. The cilantro I'm going to skip because I had this slow bolt from MI Gardener that I think I would rather use. Lemon balm. I definitely want to do lemon balm. I want to do peppermint. We're going to skip the thyme and rosemary because I already have that planted. Mountain mint, fennel, borage, anise, and chamomile. So I am going to do the rest of these. I just need to decide how many of each. I do have a mint plant already, so I might just do 3 of the mountain mint and 3 of the peppermint. I don't know what variety my mint plant outside is, but it's in a pot. I think my vertical garden just flew down outside. I just heard a lot of commotion because I left it out there, and I think the wind just blew it over. So let me go get that real quick. I'm glad that we brought everything inside because my vertical garden just blew over, and every single one of the trays was all over the patio. So I got that back inside. It is getting really shady and kind of darker out right now. I don't think it was supposed to be sunny all day. I think it was supposed to be pretty cloudy today. So we might have gotten all the sun that we can get today while we were outside planting some of these things. I found the slow bolt cilantro. So I have that one full tray that I'm going to do of this. Let's get back to the herbs. I've got the peppermint and the mountain mint. These seeds are so tiny. I don't know if you can see that really well. So let's do 3 of the peppermint and 3 of the mountain mint first. So I just realized that my mic wasn't recording any sound for the last couple of clips, which is super disappointing. I think that this is going to be a learning curve to use these for sure. It doesn't really stay on the entire time. I have to keep turning it on, which is kind of annoying. Because if I don't notice that it's off, then I'm not going to turn it back on, and then you're not going to hear it like in the last couple of clips. If those are okay clips, I might just include those and do like a voiceover for them. But I don't know what the last thing that you saw was, but I planted a full tray of lemon balm. Prior to that, I did half peppermint, half mountain mint, a full row of fennel, and then I did 4 each of anise, borage, and chamomile. I was trying to tell you guys that in my cocktail kits that I made, my dehydrated cocktail mixes, there is star anise in here. I don't know if you can see that very well. Yeah. And I don't know what the difference between anise and star anise is. I'm going to look that up and see. I think the star is directly off the plant. I'm not sure. So I was wondering if maybe I could even dry some of the anise or figure out how it grows exactly and add it to my dehydrated cocktail mixes. I think that would be really cool. I really have no plans for the borage or the chamomile specifically. The fennel, I know that you can cook with and do quite a bit of things with fennel. So I'm excited to have that. And then the other things I think will just be for tea mostly. Or just grow really pretty flowers, if nothing else. I did fill in the full row of the slow bolt cilantro as well. I've told you guys that I haven't had the greatest experience with growing cilantro. I can get it to grow, but it never gets super big before it ends up bolting. Maybe I've just had it in the direct sun and it's just gotten too warm or something. So we're trying this specifically slow bolt cilantro from My Gardener this year, just to see if that makes a difference and I can get it to last throughout the summer season. I might just have to keep it in the shade a little bit more or something like that too. I also wanted to share with you guys the rest of the things that I was going to grow for the remainder of this season. The only other thing that gets started inside are these Velvet Queen sunflower and Autumn Beauty sunflowers. It says to start 2 to 3 weeks indoors before the last frost. So we'll get to these in a couple of weeks, 90 to 100 days to maturity. So I thought that these would be really beautiful on my back fence line. These Autumn Beauty sunflowers get to grow to 4 to 6 feet tall. And the Velvet Queen, it looks like 5 to 6 feet tall. So I thought this would be really, really great to have on my back fence line. Not the whole way down, but just kind of behind my garden beds. I just thought that would be a beautiful spot for these. I don't want to take up a lot of garden bed space for sunflowers either, even though I tend to have volunteer sunflowers pop up all over the place. And I really don't mind when that happens because, again, they're just so beautiful. They're my favorite flower. So I'd really like to try to grow them on purpose this year. And a little more intentionally placed and things like that. I have a couple of carrot varieties, 2 carrots, Royal Chantenay, Imperator carrot, and this purple carrot, all from My Gardener, that I would like to plant. And it says to direct sow these 3 to 5 weeks before the last frost. So we will put these directly into our garden bed. I've never tried to grow these inside. I'm not trying to grow root vegetables in little peat pellets and then transfer them. I think that would be a little difficult. So it's great that I can just put these right in the garden beds. I need to top off my garden beds with some more soil. So I'm going to do that first in the next few days. And then probably early next week or so, I'll try to get these carrots in the ground. And then I have this butterbush squash to direct sow when the soil is workable. So these are just the things that I had set out. I also have yellow squash, zucchini, turnips, rutabagas, radishes, some other root vegetables that I'll put just directly into the garden beds or the ground. And that usually does just fine. I do have a fairly short growing season here. I think it's 144 days. But I always have enough time to grow those root vegetables that take a little longer, like rutabagas and things like that have like a 100 days till maturity growing great. So I don't usually have a problem with placing them directly outside once the last frost is over. And like I said, that's usually not until like June or so. So we'll get to that stuff eventually, but I don't think that I have anything else that I need to really start from seed right now. Once I pot my tomatoes and peppers, probably next week, I will see if I want to replant any of those and try to have enough time to do so. They may just end up being smaller once I'm able to put them out than what these will be. But that's okay. Or I can give some away if I have too many. So we're going to see how these all look when I pot them, because I need to separate them out a little bit too. Since I have like 2 of each plant in each pellet, for the majority of them. So that's a lot. So that is a wrap on our seed starting video for our tea garden and herbs for today. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate you being here. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do that as well. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.